26 Hall of Fame inductees to the floor, and Jim Duncan.
Thank you, George Turner. Tonight, for the 26th time, the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union presents its Hall of Fame. And never have we had greater inductees. To each will be given the Vicky Award, the short for Victoria, the Latin word for triumph. The presentation will be made by board member Mrs. Louise McCormick of Mount Pleasant. The year is 1978. An Ankeny guard the previous year has brought her golf team to a runner-up finish in the state golf tournament. And this year she's back with the basketball team to win it all. In the first game of the tournament, her 9 rebounds keyed the victory over Southeast Polk. In the quarterfinals, it's a tense battle with West Lyon until in the clinch moments, she comes up with 2 interceptions that turn the tide. Then in the semifinals, 5 big interceptions against St. Edmund of Fort Dodge, and then to the finals against Lakeview Auburn. Again, she's all over the floor, rebounding, intercepting, but in the third quarter, a Lakeview Auburn scorer has broken loose, and she is assigned to cover her, and she holds her to 1 shot in a quarter. She ends the tournament with 32 rebounds, 13 steals, leading the tournament in both categories by a wide margin. And she is made the captain of the All-State Tournament team, the 4th guard in history to ever receive this honor. She's a State of Iowa scholar. She goes on to the University of Iowa, majors in biology, and then in graduate work, works with Korean educators in honors workshops. Now, she is teaching biology and life science at Prairie High School of Cedar Rapids. She's the head coach of the golf team and the assistant in basketball. The Vicky Award to the captain of the 1978 All-State Tournament team, the Hall of Famer from Ankeny, Tina Bertogle. Our next honoree began her career in the Salvation Army League in Des Moines, and she became the greatest shot in women's collegiate basketball. In 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, she led Goodell to the city championship, and then came the glory years with East Des Moines. The state champions of 1979, the 5 state tournament team of 1980. And in those 2 tournaments, and in those 2 seasons, she averaged over 72% from the field, and a Big Ten coach said, "I'd rather have her than any player in the United States." Twice all-tournament, twice all-state. She went to Drake, where in her first year, she was the most productive freshman shooter in the United States. Then came the NCAA tournament in her sophomore year. Monday, the USA Today published the NCAA tournament records. Her name was listed 7 different times. In the first game of the tournament, she faced the Big Ten champions, Ohio State. She got 36 points, 16 out of 16 from the line. The second game, number 4 Long Beach State at Stanford. They double-teamed her. They triple-teamed her. But she went to the line 15 times. She hit 14 free throws. Then came the quarterfinals against Maryland. Maryland was daring. They tried to play her one-on-one. She scored the NCAA record. It is by 7 whole points, 50 points, 21 field goals against Maryland to lead the NCAA regional tournament in scoring. When she played for Drake, the Bulldogs beat the state universities of 16 different states, from California to Virginia, from Washington to Georgia. She hit 58 points in a single season game. That is her 8th NCAA record that still stands. And she was best in the big games. When the Texas team that was number 1 during the season came to Des Moines, She shot 26 times. She hit 23 baskets, 10 out of 13 from the field, 13 out of 13 from the line. Dean Smith, the North Carolina's coach, says the greatest measure of basketball ability is the number of points per field goal try. In 4 years, shooting over 1,900 shots, she averaged over 1.61 per try, the best in the nation. And over 1,000 free throws, she hit 83 2/10%. She was a powerful post player. She broke her foot early in one game and played the entire ball game. A broken foot, even for this powerful player, takes 6 weeks to heal. But in the last 2 weeks of that convalescence, the coach had to hide her suit ahead of every ball game to keep her from going out on the floor. She was a dead eye at 18 feet. She made 3 All-America teams, was MVP of 6 tournaments all the way to Alaska. And when the Women's American Basketball Association was formed, she was the #1 pro draft choice. But she elected to go into business. She is now in inventory control with the Ricoh Car Wash Manufacturing of Des Moines. The Vicky Award to the East High player who from 1980 to 1984 was the best shot in American basketball, the magnificent Hall of Famer, Laurie Bauman. The year is 1969. A 12-year-old girl sells Christmas cards and tells the camp director she'll work in the lunch line in order to go to a basketball camp. Born in Canada, she's only been in Moravia 2 years, but her showing in the 5th and 6th grade girls game showed the junior high coach he had a star. 5 years later, she would average 54.8 per game to rank with the top 5 of all time. But her team never got to state. However, she was still invited and participated in the trials for the American team in the Pan American Games. Then followed 2 years at Grandview. She scored over 1,000 points a season and took her team to the national tournament. Then the Women's Basketball League, the most enduring of all pro organizations, was formed. There were franchises in New York, in San Francisco, and Chicago. She signed the first contract in the league with the Iowa Cornets, and all she did was lead them to the Western Division Championship 2 different times. She scored 53 points once, 54 the next time, and 55 the third, all 3 league records. Twice she was All-Pro. In the second season, she was co-MVP with the highly publicized Ann Myers of UCLA, whom she outscored in leading the WBL. The Cornets disbanded, and the Ladies Pro Basketball Association beckoned her to California. She joined the Southern California Breeze. She led that league with over 40 points a game, but finally the association failed. And then in January, she again went back to the WBL, this time with San Francisco. 2 weeks later, they invited her to the All-Star game in Albuquerque. Now there had been 2 new stars come on the college scene, college All-Americas, future Olympians, Carol Blazowski and the fabled Nancy Lieberman. But the sports editor of the Albuquerque Journal knew his basketball. His headline of the story that morning was, "Machine Gun Molly shoots tonight." She didn't let him down. She came in the game with 4 minutes left in the first quarter and took a twisting layup into a 3-point play, and immediately in the stands there was a banner unfurled, "We love you, Molly." In the second half, with machine gun accuracy, she hit 7 straight shots, most of them from the top of the key, to break the game wide open. And when it was over, the leading scorer by 9 points was not Carol Blazkowski, it was not Nancy Lieberman, it was Molly from Moravia. The WBL folded. She was out of basketball for 3 years. But when the Women's American Basketball Association was organized, she was the #1 draft choice of New York. She was invited with the U.S. All-Stars to participate in a series of games with the Olympians. And she played at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis before the largest crowd ever to see a women's basketball game, 67,500. So respected is she in basketball circles that she's been a feature story of the New York Times, the San Francisco Chronicle, the Los Angeles Times, Sports Illustrated, and USA Today, as well as NBC Sports World. She has made a commercial with Larry Bird. NCAA championship coach Pete Newell has her on a video cassette with Ralph Sampson. And she is a representative now of Hoopmate, a device for encouraging shooting. The male representative of the company is James Worthy. Welcome back from California for this occasion, the most spotlighted Iowan of them all, the leading pro scorer of all time, 1975 Molly Van Benthuizen of Moravia, but known from the Washington Post to the Los Angeles Times, Machine Gun Molly Bolin.